Last week on the show, so now we have something to work with. Bringing us to this point literally has taken us 2 full months. Permits, surveys, lawyers, and banks all take time to deal with, especially during summer months when it seems like they all plan on vacations on opposite weeks. By now, Sheldon and Kayla are getting anxious, so our next few projects hopefully will put some much needed wind in everyone's sails. Now that the foundation is cured, it's time to protect it. Conventionally here, in this province, most people would use a combination of plastic cement and tar, or damp-proofing. Then a few years ago, people started adding this plastic product to the equation, no doubt helping the cause and giving a little more protection. But for this home, we're going to try a new product. It's a rubberized foundation coating that's going to waterproof our foundation as opposed to damp-proofing.
Once we arrive on site, process applying the 100% rubberized waterproofing membrane is we break off all the toys. Once we have all the ties broke off, we then go around and fill them all with a silicone-based product. Once all the ties are filled, we then apply our rubber wall product. Once we spray our rubber wall membrane, then we go ahead and apply our poly wrap. And the poly wrap will divert the water from the bottom of the footing out to your weeping tub. Once we apply our poly, we then apply our geo-wrap to ensure on backfill there will be no penetration from rocks and other debris into our rubberized membrane.
Okay, where's them people with the cue cards that tells me what I'm saying? Bins on Demand is 100% Newfoundland owned and operated. We're a garbage disposal company. We are commercial and residential friendly. We service St. John's and surrounding areas.
Now with all that complete, we're going to lay down our weeping tile. This corrugated pipe is what carries the groundwater away from our home. want to keep this pipe as tight to the footing as possible. To help us do that, we're using proper 90-degree joiners. And for some added insurance, wherever we use the joiners, we put some technical tape around the connection. This helps hold it together while we spread the aggregate over the top. We also tie pieces of weeping tile to our window openings to help drain away any water that might accumulate in the window wells. Once we put the 1.5 inch stone all over our weeping tile, we go ahead and start the process of backfilling. It's a really good feeling to get the foundation completed. That's a big milestone to get behind us. The next thing we're going to tackle now is the floor system in this home. If you take a closer look at the plans, there are some huge wide open spaces in this basement. To achieve these wide open spaces in the basement, we went with an engineered floor system. Using this type of system gives us spans upwards of 20 feet as compared to about 14-foot maximum span with conventional framing lumber. To help carry the load of this floor system, some of the joists attach to an LVL beam. These beams are very rigid and again help support the floor with less posts or bearing points. And that's going to give Sheldon more options down the road when he decides to develop the space. Attaching these joists to an LVL beam is done with a joist hanger. These hangers attach to the beam with purpose-made nails. This isn't somewhere to just poke any old nail. Not using the proper fastener here could void warranty, and of course, the work might not be completed to code. With all the joists in place, we can get to sheeting the floor over. If we were using conventional framing lumber, we would opt for a tongue-and-groove plywood. But because we're using an engineered floor system, the manufacturer recommends that we use an engineered sheeting. Now, one of the cool features of using this product is the channels that are cut into the end of the sheeting to allow any moisture buildup on the floor during the construction process to pass through the sheeting and drain to a lower point. That being said, you need to be careful to install this sheeting right side up so that the grooves actually do their job. It's time to get started now with our exterior walls, but the plans alone don't give us enough information to complete our job. The window openings on our plan were a guideline for the window manufacturers to follow. When we ordered the windows, the manufacturer actually sent us an updated list called a window and door schedule. It all comes back to proper planning, and let me tell you from experience, tearing an opening apart to accommodate a window or a door is anything but fun. Another great piece of advice I like to pass on to people involves using the right lumber for the job. For example, there's not a great chance you're going to get all your material arrived to site straight and true, but following a few simple steps will help us use the materials we do get wisely. First, we sort through all of our longer lengths of materials that we use for window openings and the top and bottom plates. The worst materials should be the stuff that we use to cut all of our cripples and sills for our window packages. These are the shortest pieces, and when cut, the twists and bends are substantially less pronounced. Next, we use the slightly twisted material for the bottom plates of the wall. These plates are attached every 16 inches, so it's easier to manipulate them into straight lines, and then we can ensure they actually stay there. Finally, we use the straightest lengths for the top portion of the wall, called the top plate. The straighter the top of the wall is, the easier it will be to keep everything in line when we install our roof down the road. The last word of advice on framing materials I'll give is on checking the dimensions of the window and door lintels. For this project, we're using 2x10 material for most of the openings. Sometimes this material measures 9 1/8 inch all the way up to 9 1/2 inch in thickness. So do yourself a favor. Pair your materials to laminate together with another piece the same thickness. This is going to help ensure a tight fit between the lintel and the jack stud that bears all of its weight. As with 99% of new home builds around this area, we're installing our roof using an engineered roof truss. These sets can be fairly complex, but when broken down into a few separate sections, the task is a lot easier. You can see the boys preparing part of this roof on the ground. Putting these sections together now saves time and a lot of work that would conventionally be done on scaffolds. Even putting our house wrap on, while accessible, helps down the road. Once all the trusses are in place, we install our fascia boards and felt molding. So for this project, we're using a pneumatic nailer, and we certainly find pneumatic nailers awesome to work with. There's probably a few people around that don't believe in it, but at the end of the day, our pneumatic nailer is always available to put a couple extra nails in whatever we're putting together, so I think that probably certainly helps. But then there's two different types of nails that we'll use in these guns. The first would be just a common nail. It's basically just your straight, shiny nail, multi-use application. And then as well, there's a galvanized nail. So those nails are generally used outside on an exterior, say like a patio deck or what have you, trellis, anything like that. But those nails are actually coated with a galvanized coating. That galvanized coating does two things. One, it makes it weatherproof. And two, galvanizing process actually leaves behind a lot of little fine particles, and those little fine particles definitely hook into the wood better or substrate, whatever you're nailing. So, you know, certainly using them for the right application is one thing. One thing that's pretty neat about a pneumatic nail is the glue that's actually on the nail. So if you look at the bottom of the nail, there's generally probably a black or a red coating on it. And once you shoot the nail into the wood, the friction ends up heating up that nail and making that glue stick. So, you know, certainly great holding power with them, but once again, the right nail for the job is always crucial. Don't forget to consult your local construction worker. It's time to sheet this thing over. One thing we're using on the roof are these H-clips. They install between each truss and give each sheet another connection point that helps distribute weight between the truss spans. Another piece of hardware we're going to install on the roof are these hurricane clips. At about $1 a piece, it's some pretty cheap insurance that your roof will stay where it should. Once again, we're using proper hanger nails to complete the install. The finishing touches to complete our framing job is to strap out our ceiling with 1x4 that our drywall will hang on. And we install the solid blocking in our interior walls.
So where are we headed to, Mike?
Well, buddy, we're on our way to the lumber yard to pick up some H-clips. Somebody may have forgot to order them.
And who is that somebody?
Yeah, it was me.